Hey everyone, it's Nye and welcome to another episode of Nye's Growing Space, the YouTube channel, and I am back with another dose of growth. And so this dose of growth is not allowing other people's perceptions of you to define who you are and make any of your decisions. So I have battled a lot with dealing with other people's perceptions of me. I know the biggest experience or the most impactful experience I've had was at one of my previous employers. I was dealing with a lot of people's perceptions of what they thought of me or how they perceived me to be as a person or as an employee, and it was very difficult because I had to pretty much alter myself and who I was just naturally as a person so that I could appease or appeal to my employer or management to for them to consider me for promotions and consider me for different opportunities. I had to change who I was as a person in some way to meet their or to change their negative perceptions that they had of me. So that was very difficult, one, for me to do, but then for me to be able to accept. So because once I changed who I was or altered who I was at that time, it was kind of confusing. And then I started to pay more and more attention to people's perception of me, and I started to care a little bit more. So I started to care even in my personal life about what people thought of me. People would always, and still do sometimes, perceive me as just being mean or very blunt and direct, and it could rub people wrong a lot of the ways. And that has, had an effect on me of, how open or how direct should I be, because my intentions are never bad, but I'm going to be talking about intentions like in a little bit. So listening or believing other people's perception of you can have a big effect or a big impact on your mental health. It can have you second guessing who you are as a person, second guessing what you're meant to do in life, second guessing every decision that you've made, and just mostly who you are as a person. So when you are allowing other people's perceptions of you and what they think of you to change and to alter how you feel, it can make you feel lost. It can cause a lot of confusion in your life, and it can lead you into a dark place, because if you're worried about other people's perceptions of you and they're negative, then a lot of the times if you care about the person, you're going to try to meet the expectation of the perception that they have of you. And that is going to be hard, because you're never going to meet the perception that somebody has of you, or you're never going to be able to change. I'm not going to say you're not going to be able to change the perception of them, but if it's a negative perception that somebody has of you and you want to change that negative perception, then you're allowing that person to just pretty much control who you are. So people's perception is actually a reflection of how they feel about themselves and how they view themselves. So a lot of the times we think that when somebody tells us, oh, you're too this, or oh, you're too that, you're too loud, or I see a lot when a lot of people like to body shame different, full figured women, plus size women, when they're comfortable with their bodies. And you will see it from a wide range of people, but a lot of the times the people that body shames other people are most likely the people that have insecurities about their own selves, about their own body. When somebody pushes their perception of you, their perception of what they think of you onto you, take a second and think, and just really think about, maybe that's probably what they feel about themselves, and that has actually nothing to do with me, even though they're saying it's me that's doing this, it's me that's doing that, or they don't think I should do this or that. Remember that it's really a reflection of how they see themselves, and they're reflecting it back on to you. And so the next thing to help you overcome people's perceptions is get to know you, know who you are, know your values, know your standards, most importantly, know your intentions. So everybody has a perception. Everybody perceives things, and the way people's perceptions are affected is how they grew up, the things that they've experienced in life. So if you've never experienced something somebody else has experienced, then your perceptions are going to be off a little bit. So if you're allowing somebody's perceptions that has grown up completely different from you, that has experienced a completely different life from you, dictate how they think your life should go, or the decisions that you should make, or how you should be as a person, is just completely wrong. So it's important that you know who you are as a person. And if you don't know who you are, get to know yourself. That's your task this week. If you're like, I don't know who I am. So that's why it's so easy for me to listen to other people's perceptions. Get to know who you are. And if you know who you are, write it down. Remember who you are. So then when somebody is pushing their giving you their perception of you, then you can remain confident and stand in your confidence of who you are as a person. And I'm not saying that everybody's perception of you is going to be negative. It could be positive, but always remember that even if somebody's perception is positive, you don't want to hold on to that too much either. You want to treat everybody's perceptions, whether it's good or bad, of you, to keep them at a midline. Keep them at, don't really consider other people's perceptions, because your perception of you is what matters the most. Now, I'm not going to say, F everybody and their perceptions and how they feel and what they think, because there is a lot of the times where people's perceptions that we actually care about, that do mean something to us, can have an impact on us. So if we have a mentor and their perception of us, and they're giving us some feedback and giving us areas that we need to grow in. So the next thing is, I'm not going to say that just don't give a damn about anybody's perceptions. I do know that there are people that we have in our lives that we value their opinions, we value their perceptions, and we value what they think. Now, those people, yes, listen to their perception. Those are the people that you actually go and ask, like, how do you perceive me to be? What do you think of me? And if you really value what they have to say, then you can go ahead and consider. So decide whose perception you actually give a damn about, and then consider those. But still, in the same breath, don't hold anybody's perception of you or what they think of you over what you think of yourself, because that's the most important. If you allow people to dictate who you are as a person, to alter who you are and to decide who you are, then you're giving them all the control and all the power, and that can breed a lot of depression and anxiety and unhappiness and all of those other things. So that is your dose of growth. I hope you find value in this video, and remember that other people's perceptions of you do not matter. And remember, if you find value in this video, then make sure you subscribe and you share, and you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Nye's Growing Space. Thank you so much for tuning in.